Hello and welcome to another edition of Qmailtoaster Video Magazine. I'm your host, Jake Vickers. In this edition, we're going to cover a kind of a user request, and that has to do with how to back up and restore your Qmailtoaster system. The actual user request had come about with how to actually back up your email system, but I figured, if you're going to back it up, then probably the next logical step you're going to want to take is how to restore your system. You just happen to be in luck. I wrote the original backup script was written by Nate Davis, and I took it over a couple years ago and added some things and added some more features to it. And I also sat down and wrote a restore script because there had not been one written previously. And originally when I wrote the restore script, I had written it so that I could also upgrade all of the software while I was moving to new hardware. So there's some commands in there. They're commented out now because they're not really relevant anymore, but the commands are still in there, and you can go through and look at the actual restore script code. It's just a batch script or a bash script, and you can see the comments that are or the commands that are commented out, and they mainly have to do with things like changing the user for vpop mail, the UID, GID, things of that nature. As I said before, the restore script and the backup script really in general were meant, when I wrote them, to be a way for you to back up your Qmailtoaster system. And if you have some type of catastrophic hardware failure, or you have to move to new hardware or whatever, that's where the restore script comes in. And it's supposed to actually restore the machine to a working state as of the backup script. Now, some little things to note there. On the source machine, we're going to back up the files, and let's just go ahead and log into the machine that I've been using in all the videos here. And you'll be able to see that I've done a backup. Let's get a long directory listing there. And you can see that I did a backup just today, as a matter of fact. And that was because I went ahead and I added a domain and added some emails. I went ahead and added my test domain in there, a circular bucket. And you can see that I sent myself a couple test emails, just so that there's actually something in there. Because this is, like I said, this is the machine we've been using in the videos. So this has not actually been on the internet. We don't actually have any email stores there. So I sent myself a couple test emails over here, just so that we have some messages, so that when we back it up and then when we restore it, we actually do have some content so we can prove that, yes, it is working. So you can see that I did the backup here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this backup and I'm going to copy it over to the destination machine, and the destination machine is actually a completely another computer. It is another VMware image, but it's actually running on a completely different VMware server here in my lab. So this, like I said, the restore script was meant for you to move it to new hardware in the event of a hardware failure. Now, on the restore machine, the machine that we're going to be restoring the image to, what I did is I went ahead and just ran the QMT ISO, and that ISO is available. You can go to iso.qmailtoaster.com, or you can just go to qmailtoaster.com and follow the links to iso.qmailtoaster.com. And the ISO, what it does is it gives you a full working Qmailtoaster server, depending on your hardware, in about 15 minutes. On my restore machine, or the machine that is going to be the destination for the backup file, I did run the ISO, so we do have a full working Qmailtoaster system over there. And that's something that, as I mentioned before, that we really need to note. The machine that is going to be receiving the backup file and that you're going to restore to needs to have all of the Qmailtoaster files already working and configured correctly. Actually, we can skip that last part, configuring correctly, because we're going to copy a lot of our configuration files over. That is a task that the backup script does do for you. It copies over the majority of your control files. So that's not really something you have to worry about too much, but you do have to make sure that you do have a full working Qmailtoaster system on the destination machine, or the machine we're going to restore the file to. That's because the backup script, basically all it does is it copies over all the email files, the configuration files, and the database, and then the restore script basically dumps them back in. The other thing to note is on the destination machine, or the machine we're going to restore the file to, if you do have any emails on there or any data, it is going to destroy it. And I will say that again, it is going to destroy it. what it's going to do is it's going to drop the vPopmail database, then it's going to recreate it. That way it's completely and totally empty. Then it's going to import the database from the other machine. So you want to make sure that the destination machine or the restored machine is going to be a machine that's pretty clean. That's why I use the ISO. It's a fresh install. In this scenario, we're going to pretend that we're having a hardware failure, and I'm going to move everything over to a brand new machine over in a new data center. With that being said, hopefully that's all the warnings I need to give you. If you need any more warnings than that, well, you probably need to find somebody else to run your mail server. So let's just go ahead and jump right on into it now. Okay, as you can see, we're already in our source machine, and there's our backup file. Let's go ahead and move on over, and let's get logged into our destination machine. Since this is a brand new machine, you can see that I do not have anything installed as of yet. That's actually not too bad of a thing there. The first thing we're going to do, now since I did use the ISO, Qmailtoaster-Plus is already installed. As I mentioned, well actually I didn't mention it before, but I do cover it in the backup video. The backup and restore scripts are contained in the Qmailtoaster-Plus package. So if you want to get those scripts, you have to have the Qmailtoaster-Plus package. You can go to qtp.qmailtoaster.com and download the individual scripts if you want to try them that way. But a lot of the features are really dependent upon other things that are also in the Qmailtoaster-Plus package. So let's go ahead and let's go on over, and we're going to copy over our backup file that that I just created just a little while ago. And we're going to copy that over to our destination machine, or the machine we're going to restore the files to. Now, it's also important to note that the backup file must be in the /root directory. As you can see here, I'm just using SCP to copy it over. The SCP is great if you're just going to do a one-time copy. If you want to keep if you're going to keep multiple backups and you want to keep them synchronized to a backup machine for whatever reason, SCP may not be the best utility for you to use for that. rsync would probably be something better. Or even if you want to use Fuse and set up user space and create a SSH virtual drive between the two machines so they can share a directory, that would probably work as well. There, we went ahead and we copied our file over. Obviously, we're only copying over 166K, so that's not going to take too long. Okay, now we're done with the source machine, so let's go ahead and just power this one off. We'll pretend that the hard drive that's going bad is actually gone bad, and now the machine's actually going to fail and shut down. Let's go ahead and close that window. Now, also remember back here in this web GUI, I did have emails, and you can see we were on the source machine. So now that we're back over here, let's verify that we did get the file. Hey, and there it is. And then let's just run qtp restore. Now, the restore script is going to give you some warnings. It's going to let you know that I wrote it, and it's going to warn you that the backups file needs to be in the /root directory, and that it's also going to destroy any existing configuration or users, domains, etc. that you may have configured on this machine, and ask you if you want to continue. The default answer is no, so if you hit enter here, it's going to just exit out. Yes, we want to continue because, well, that's what the whole point of this video. It's going to ask you for your MySQL root password. Now, hopefully you know this on the new machine. If you use my ISO and you haven't changed it, it's just v2gnu.qmailtoaster. And it's going to run right on through. It's grabbing some additional utilities. And that was pretty much it, since we don't have a whole lot of email on here. Now what we can do, probably the next thing we want to do, since we've done a big restore here, let's just go ahead and give it a reboot. Now the reboot's not necessarily required, but I do recommend it since we did change a lot of control files on here, and we also messed with the database a little bit. So I do recommend that you do a reboot on the system. But like I said, it's not necessarily required. If this was a production machine and you had other services running on there, obviously rebooting may not be feasible for you, in which case you might have to manually restart a couple of the services. But for brevity and for the purpose of this video, we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to do a nice reboot. Hopefully the machine comes up before too long. Let's go ahead and ping it so we can see when it comes back up. I'm trying out the new VMware Server version 2, running that here on my local desktop, which seems to run a little bit slower than the older version in my opinion. And for all intents and purposes, this is probably going to take a minute because, like I said, it is running on my local desktop, and I'm doing several other things, such as recording a video on this machine, so it may take it a minute or two. So we'll go ahead and we'll pause here, and when we continue, the machine hopefully will be rebooted, and we'll get logged back in and make sure everything's working. And since the machine's back up and running, and we went ahead and logged back into it, you can see we're back here. Let's just go ahead and get a directory listing to make sure that our domains are there. And yeah, we see we got Circular Bucket and Fake Domain. Circular Bucket is the one that I'm using here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to browse to our machine that we just restored to. And just go ahead and log right on into webmail. I'm logged in as Postmaster at Circular Bucket. And there we're logged in. And as you can see here, we are on the new destination machine, and here's our emails. So that was short, sweet, and simple. On a machine that doesn't have too many domains and not a lot of emails, you can see that it's really, really quick to actually transfer the system over and do a complete and total restore. Now this video is a little bit out of order. The next video is going to be on how to back up your Qmailtoaster server, but I did do that intentionally on purpose. So we look forward to seeing you in the next video next week, which is going to be how to back up your Qmailtoaster system. Thanks for watching.